save my soul tonight. I'm humbled at your feet. I surrender my life to your hands, to your son who died for me.
Welcome.
Hello.
We have Nikki C here, Pamela, and
Nikki is new to this channel, and she asked the question, was this an auction? And someone told her no, it wasn't. But there are auctions on this channel, Nikki. Josie can talk more about that.
Yeah, she's bought from me.
Okay.
Well, I know her. Yeah. Yes. No, once a month. And it's once a month. It's on either my channel or Angie's. We rotate. And today the discussion is, do you live in a real world or a fantasy world? And I'm really excited about this.
Oh, and Josie, when I started doing studying about this, when you told me or gave me the topic of what you were going to be discussing or what you thought we should discuss, and I want everybody to know, we just facilitate. We do not try to teach. We do not try to tell you how to live your life. We just facilitate, kind of keep the conversation going and share what we have found out, because we're learning right along with you all. And so when you told me, and I started studying and researching, which I love to do that sort of thing. It's amazing how much you can learn that you thought you already knew, or maybe you didn't think you knew, but you thought you knew all of one topic. And then you can go off and you can say, well, I never thought of it like that, or I never looked at it like that. But it's going to be a good topic tonight.
Hi, Claudette. Well, as I've told Angie, even at my age, I try to learn one thing new every day, whether it is how I do something with my crafts, with my computer, my thoughts. I try to learn something new every day. So I don't care how old you are or how young you are. You don't know it all. No one does.
No.
And so the subject, and I am going to bring my Christian belief in there. And if I offend someone, I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. I'm very proud of what I feel and what I believe. And it's taken me a long time to get where I'm at today. And I wish I was the person I am today. I wish I was when I was 30 or 40.
Oh, I think that a lot in my life. I'm thinking, why wasn't I like this back in my 30s?
Yeah. I'd say beautifully. Hands yellow. Okay. Please. I am a Christian. And you know what? You don't have to be a Christian to be in here. But
we're happy you are.
Yes.
We're happy that you are.
Yeah. Sometimes, like I said, I don't care who you are, to grow. You start as a small child. And sometimes that one little seed gets planted. And that one little seed, it might not grow until many years later, but it's there. And we've all had to grow. Anyway, and I'm not going to, poor Angie, she's going to get to talk a lot too. I won't
Oh, you do your thing, Josie. You know it doesn't bother me.
I have typed things up so I do not forget what I want to say, but my introduction. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm so glad you're here today. Today's topic is one that really makes you stop and think. Do you live in the real world or a fantasy world? Sometimes we wish life was perfect, that people never let us down and everything went our way. But that's not real life, that's fantasy. The real world is filled with challenges, lessons, and blessings, and that help us grow stronger in faith and character. So let's talk about it. Are you facing reality? Are we living in a version of our life that we create to avoid it? And how can our faith in the Lord help us stay grounded, honest, and strong in the truth?
You know, I thought about the topic before I started doing any kind of writing or researching and all that. I thought about reality and fantasy. I'm here to tell you, I have always been a realistic person. And when I was growing up, I did not have this big, huge imagination because I had to grow up really fast as a child. And I didn't really get into all that that Disney and princesses and and all that like my granddaughter does. I mean, she comes home from preschool and she dresses up like Elsa every day. But she's only 4 years old, almost 5. But I thought as I got older, I would use my imagination more, and I have been, because you got to have a balance of that part of your life and reality. But you need to live in reality more and understand that that's where you grow. You don't grow in fantasy. You grow in reality. And in order for us to grow and mature and become good citizens and all that, we have to be realistic. Well, I have had to learn the opposite, how to have fun, how to enjoy things that really aren't, of this world. Because to me, I used to live, it was either black or white. It was no in between. And so I had to learn to say, you know what? It's okay to have fun sometimes and pretend that, this or that. But you can't let it overtake you and you avoid life like some people do. They live in this alternate world where they think that everything's supposed to be the way they want it. Everybody's supposed to think the way they think. Everybody's supposed to feel the way they feel. And that could be furthest from the truth.
Yeah. And when we think everybody should believe and think like we do, it only causes hostility, and it only, people get mad at each other because they think, oh, my friends should think exactly. Well, maybe your friend or somebody you just met didn't live the life that you lived, didn't grow up like you grew up. And as long as somebody doesn't force their beliefs on you, why do you get upset with people? And I have some things here also written, what the real world is. The real world is where we face truth, our responsibilities, struggles, and blessings. It's where faith meets action, where we trust God, not just in words, but in how we live. The real world involves people, pain, and purpose. It's not always easy, but it's real.
Nikki put in here, I wanted to read her comment. She said, I'm not sure, since my husband passed 6 years ago, I feel like I kind of been in limbo, but finding my way into reality. Here's the thing. When we go through a traumatic death like that, a close loved one, I think the Lord puts a protection over us. So number one, we won't have a nervous breakdown. And number two, we won't do anything to ourselves, because that's not what he wants us to do. So I feel like Nikki and whoever else is in the chat that's went through a traumatic loss, that God puts this shield on you, and it's okay for you
It's
to
okay.
stay there and heal because your heart has been broken. And He's trying to protect you and comfort you in that. And He wants you to rest in that. You know what I'm saying? And when you get ready, you take baby steps and come back into reality and
Exactly.
join the world so you'll be able and be healthy to do it. There's nothing wrong with that. You
As
know?
I say in my grieving videos, there's no time limit on grieving.
Yeah.
Each person is different. By the way, welcome, Judy May. It's good to see you.
Yeah, Judy May.
There's no time limit, and don't allow anyone to tell you, well, you've got a year, you've got 6 months. There is no time limit. But eventually you have to get out of that little.
Yeah, you don't want to stay there.
It's dangerous to stay there, but there's nothing wrong with being there for a while because.
But honestly, Josie, I don't want to get off the topic too much, but I think the reason people stay there is because they feel like the person, if they get out of that person's feeling of what they felt when that person was alive will be gone. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my gosh, I won't ever feel them again. I won't ever, they won't ever be with me again if I come out of this place that I'm in, And it's scary because if you've loved that person so deeply and you've lost them.
I've got pictures of my daughter in my office here in my bedroom, and she passed away in 1969. I can still visualize all the different activities and what we went through and the hardships and when I lost her. That don't fear that that's going to go away. But you learn to live with it, and you learn to realize that you didn't want them to stay here and suffer. And then about what is a fantasy world? A fantasy world is when we ignore reality or build illusions, thinking life should be perfect or that everyone should act the way we want. Social media can feed fantasy thinking. People show only the highlight reels, not the real struggles. Some escape into fantasy to avoid hurt, disappointment, or truth.
Right. We tend to avoid someone hurting us. We pretend that it didn't happen. We act like they didn't mean what they did to us, or we go off into a place where we don't actually allow ourselves to feel the hurt. But if you don't allow yourself to feel hurt, guess what you can't feel? You can't feel love. You can't feel happiness. You can't feel anything if you cut off the feeling of not being hurt, because you have to cut off all your feelings not to feel hurt. So if you cut off hurt, then you cut off the other ones, which are good.
Yeah. And Nikki, it's I know, none of us know exactly how someone feels, but I lost my daughter with muscular dystrophy when she was 9.5 years old. I also lost a husband with cancer, and I've also been divorced. If you look at most people, some don't talk about it, but most people have gone through something that you eventually, and I'm not saying it's easy. In fact, again, on my videos, I say, if you can't get out of that grieving state, if you can't go through all the grieving stages and learn to live with it, then you need professional help. It's really important.
And ultimately, it's left up to you to make that transition from, am I going to enter the reality again, or am I going to stay where I am? And there's no judgment there, because the person that you are, no one can judge you or shouldn't judge you, because they have not experienced what you have experienced.
Exactly. And social media that's the one thing, there's a lot of good about it, a lot of things I love, but there's a lot of things that I dislike. Everyone seems to think that they have the right to judge other people, that even if you think somebody's living the style that they shouldn't live, it's not your place to change or try to change them. How about living and showing an example? How about being an example? And maybe plant that little seed that when you dominate and you say, oh, that person's not nice, or that person's living wrong, who are you to judge? Only
That
God
is the
is our
quickest
judge.
way. That is the quickest way to lose an acquaintance, a friend, or someone that you're close to when you
Yep.
start saying, I'm here, you're here, you don't need to be doing that because this or that or whatever. You sit there with that person and you love them through it. And you help them see through the Lord's eyes what they're doing wrong. It's not for you to try to convince them that they're doing wrong.
Yeah.
It's not, I mean, who are you? Who are we to sit there
Yeah.
and say, that's self-righteousness in the first place. I don't want that.
And don't ever let somebody say to you, well, I went to college. I've got more educated. That has nothing to do with real life.
It says God has taken the foolish things of the world to confound the wise. That means he has taken people that are uneducated, slow. That's how you know the Lord's working in their life, because you look at them and go, there's no way this person could be doing this. It has to be God, because they're not this or that. You know, you're observing. You're not really judging. So he doesn't take these scholars and these great, wonderful biblical people, you know, to try to teach you a lesson. No.
Yeah. And I don't know, some people get this idea that they're holier than thou. And by the way, and I will bring this up, when our Lord Jesus was on earth, he didn't have a religion. Religion is man-made. Jesus loved everyone. He was around people that some of these judgmental people would say they were low life.
He didn't see color.
He didn't see
Didn't see physical disabilities. He didn't see failure. He didn't see any of that. Only thing he did was love people. And he met them where they were. Wherever they were in their life, that's where he met them. And it was okay.
And that's the one thing that, like I said a little bit ago, I've been into electronics for years and years and years. I love computers. I love all of the technology. But what I dislike about social media is there's so many people. You can see an article, say on Facebook, somebody puts up an article, and all of a sudden there's some good comments, but then there's the negativity starts, and somebody says, well, why didn't you do this? Why don't you do this? Who are they to judge?
And I was telling Josie, I do not give advice unless you ask me for it. That's not my place. That is not my place in your life. If I'm ever in your life, like I'm in Josie, she and I are friends, unless Josie asks me for my opinion, I'm going to just listen to what she has to say and let her figure it out. Because you know what? You're kind of saying to people by giving them your opinion, look, you're a little slow. You're not going to figure this out. So I'm going to figure it out for you, and I'm going to tell you what to do. But I'm here to tell you, people are smart.
Yep.
I mean, common sense, even if they don't have this master's degree and whatever, common sense and the Holy Spirit will teach you what you need to know. So don't let anybody make you feel like you can't make decisions, because you can.
Well, I joke about it. It's true. I have a nursing college education, and my English and my punctuation stinks. and I'm not the greatest speaker. So stay away from people who think they're perfect, by the way.
I wanted to read this, Josie. It says, true relationships, love, friendship, community can only exist in the real world. you can't be fully seen, known, or loved if you are hidden behind a fantasy. Real connections require authenticity, and authenticity lives in truth. That's what I tell in a
Yeah.
lot of my videos on my channel. Be authentic. No matter how weird, no matter how strange, no matter how you are or you think you are, which is probably not as weird as you think it is, people are going to love you if you're real. And they're going to know whether you are or not, because y'all watch YouTube. Y'all see channels that a person comes on and you go, that person don't seem very authentic to me. And you can figure it out, you know? And I just wish people would be who they really are. And sometimes people don't know who they are.
Watch me in my auctions, and when I'm saying, I'm trying to sell things and I don't like this. This is ugly.
Yeah, Josie will say, now I don't really like this, but it's up for sale and it's going to be such and such. And which we laugh about that all the time, because anybody that's a salesperson is not going to automatically just say, now I really don't like this. But that's just how real Josie is. And that's the way we all should be. And don't ever be ashamed of, number one, where you came from, and number two, who you are deep down, because you know what? We're changing every day.
Like Dee said yesterday, Josie says it's ugly, and then she turns around and sells it.
Sells it. But you know, people can appreciate that and respect that.
You've got, and like I said, my life hasn't always been easy. It's taken me a long time to get where I'm at today. I was just like a lot of people, maybe judgmental, maybe, oh, poor me type of thing. And I've learned over the years that when you open up your heart and you love, and you let love come in and you let the Lord come in, it's amazing how you change. I can't even explain it. I absolutely.
You just automatically do it without planning to do it.
Yeah.
And it becomes easier.
Life. Yep. And there's something else here. Signs you might be living in a fantasy world. You avoid hard conversations or responsibilities. You blame others for everything wrong in your life. That's a good one. You expect life to always be fair or people always to agree with you. You live through dreams but take no steps towards them. Then, living in the real world with grace, accept life's imperfections, find beauty in them. Be honest with yourself and others. Keep your faith grounded in truth, not emotions. Love people where they are, not where you wish they were.
And you never know what one little thing they can pick up that you say that will change their entire life if you will just live in reality more than you live in fantasy.
Yep.
Because one little thing could turn their whole life around.
Yep. And I look at Angie, and excuse me for using you for an example, that I'm going to, and I hope I don't make you blush, but this is a beautiful lady who I know has pain. And I've never heard, when she goes on and does her talk shows, I never heard that I feel sorry for myself. I never heard that complaining. And this woman has more love in her than most people.
Thank you, Josie. I appreciate that. But that does kind of embarrass me.
No, I'm sorry. But really and truly, in fact, when I first met Angie, I thought, is she really real? Because I thought, how can she be so understanding with everyone and not be judgmental or anything? So I apologize for using you, but I want people.
No, it's fine. Hey, Shanika.
Hi, Shanika. But this is how I want to be. More understanding because everyone has a history. Everyone goes through good and bad.
It's just like you were saying, Josie, you have to be you read me your post today that you put on your community, used to be your community page, and you put on there what a friend really is. And it says, a friend is with you no matter what you're going through. They're there to sit beside you and listen to you, not to try to tell you what to do, but to be there and comfort you. Mine says a fantasy can create false comfort. Have y'all ever heard somebody say, "Oh, you have that false sense of well-being"?
Yeah. Hi, Mike. It's good to see you.
Hey, Mike. And some people fake the way they feel because they don't want people to know how much they are suffering. So they'll pretend that everything's all good and great. And when you're out in public, I can see people doing that. And I have done that before. I have actually not felt really well. And I would just, I'm good, I'm fine, or whatever. But in the real world, when you're around your friends, you can let your guard down and say, look, I just haven't been myself. I don't feel well, or this is going on. My heart's broken. This one said this about me. This one offended me. This one done this. But when you're out in the real world, you want to live a proper life and not really bring it. That's where the drama comes in. And boy, do we know what drama looks like on YouTube. Yep. And I don't want that anywhere near me. I don't want it.
Me neither. And you don't hear me complain because I'm so stubborn. And I always joke about the only thing my mother got right about me, because we didn't have a good relationship. She said I was the most stubborn person in the world. And about 4 years ago, I did an auction with 103 fever. And that's how stubborn I am. And I felt like, can I use the word crap?
Yes, you can use that word.
I felt horrible.
Let's just say she felt like this.
Yeah. But that's just me. I know what I have to do and to survive, and I do it. Not everyone is like that. And it's better if you're not stubborn like me, actually. But
let me read it. It says, purpose comes from doing real things, helping others, creating, learning, achieving. Fantasy can mimic that feeling, but only reality allows our actions to have genuine impact on others. See, you have to live in reality in order to really have an impact on someone else's life. You can't always stay in the alternate world of, I'm just going to act like this didn't happen and it won't be. But that's not the way it is. You got to face it and say, okay, whatever pain comes, I'm going to deal with it because I have God. I have the Lord with me. He's going to help me. I mean, that's the way I face everything. Lord, today when I was doing physical therapy, I'll share this with y'all. We were going to walk and I was going to do turns. I've only been walking straight and doing a little turn. But today we were going to walk, turn around without sitting and head back the other direction, get there and sit. Well, I've been having a lot of back pain lately. And when he came, I was like, but we're going to do it. I'm going to walk through the pain. I don't care. He's like, that's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. And so I got up to walk. I made the first turn and headed back to my other chair. I got almost there and I was like, James, bring me my the chair, the other chair. And because I have two wheelchairs, I said, I got to sit now. My pain is getting to me. I felt defeated at that moment because I didn't make it back to where I'd started. But my physical therapist said, look, you stood up in your pain and you walked. And you did everything you could at that moment to try to meet that goal. So the worst thing you could have done was say, oh, I'm not doing it today. I don't feel like it. And I said, oh no, I'm not going to do that because I gotta walk. So that made me feel like I did get up and try. Now in a fantasy world, I would have said, I'm good. I don't need to do it. But in reality, I knew I had to get up and move. So that helped me by doing things like that.
Hi, Scooter. Welcome. And I think in the real world, even like I said, when you have to do something like, say, if you stay stationary all the time and you don't walk when you can walk, I'm not talking about now when somebody's in a wheelchair, but eventually you won't be able to walk. And that's what happens. Even if it hurts, you have to get up and do it.
See, my mindset was this. I always had to talk myself through everything. Well, if I'm going to hurt anyway, I might as well walk. I mean, if I'm going to hurt sitting, I might as well hurt walking. Yeah. What's the difference? So that's what I did. I was like, okay. And I talked to myself all the time. Come on, Angie. You can do it. Come on, girl. You got this. And then I told him today, I said, I've called on Jesus a lot the last 2 days, trying to get him to help me walk. And he said, just keep calling him. He'll help you.
He'll help you. Well, to me, if you want to be in the fantasy world, and we all need that sometimes, turn on a Christmas movie. Do some crafts. If you play tennis, I don't care, whatever you do, go and do something that makes you not think about the real world. And
if you have young grandbabies like I do, and you're with them and they're pretending, don't be ashamed to get in there and pretend with them and join in just for that few moments. It helps the relationship between you and your grandbaby. And it also helps you, because I forget about my pain when I'm with my grandbabies and I'm playing and joking around with them and everything. And so it's okay to do that.
Yeah, the fantasy world isn't bad as long as you don't stay in there. So, a little bit of it is okay. It's the people who live in it and stay in it all the time. And then when tragedy happens, the real world slaps them in the face. Some people totally lose it and don't come back. They totally lose it. But if you prepare yourself, and not that we can always be prepared, but at least think, hey, this could happen. What am I going to do if that does happen? It helped me get through with losing my daughter. And I can tell you, and I've talked to a million people about this over the years, you can have a lot of losses, but the worst loss you could ever have is losing a child.
I believe that. I've never experienced it, but I've been around people that have it. I'll never say that I know how they feel because I do not. I will never say that out of my mouth. But to me, that has to be the hardest thing that I think someone would have to live through. That's what I believe.
And I've heard so many, and being a nurse, I've heard so many elderly people say, I wasn't supposed to live longer than my children. The children, I should have been gone and they should be here. So it's hard. But if you have your faith, you can get through it. You can get through it.
I do believe that. This says it's okay to dream, imagine, or escape sometimes. Creativity and imagination are beautiful parts of being human. The key is to let fantasy inspire your real life, not replace it. Dream and then act on it. So, it's okay to have dreams. It's okay to want things, to desire things. Pray and see if the Lord wants you to have that too. A lot of times, and I have shared this with Josie, I have family members that think the Lord is a slot machine. like all they got to do, the only time they call on him is when they need money or they need something. They just start praying, Lord, please send me this, send me that. It's never, thank you, Lord, for this day. Thank you for allowing me to live another day. Thank you for the life that I have. You know, what it's just constantly, oh Lord, let me win the lottery. Now, who doesn't want to do that? But I'm just saying,
Yeah.
it may not be in the cards for that to happen. And don't think of him as sitting up there in the sky, just
Going to give you
waiting.
everything you want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you know what? That's dangerous. Because if you ever look back on your life and said, oh, I'm so glad that he didn't answer that prayer. You know, years later when you prayed for something and
I've thought about that one. Yeah.
then you get somewhere and you go, oh, I'm so glad he didn't answer that when I asked him for it. Because you could see then that it would be harmful to you.
I wonder how many young people have thought about that when they were young and they thought they just had to have this person and they wanted to marry this person. And then as they grew up and met someone else and they viewed that person's life that they wanted and it was horrible and how thankful they were that they didn't marry. God didn't answer their prayer.
That is a good point, Josie, because I'm going to add, live your life and not someone else's. Don't look at someone else's life and say, oh, I wish I had that and they have such a good life. You don't know what that person's lived through to get to where they are. You don't know the pain they're still living through. Ask God to give you the picture of what your life is supposed to be and reach for that. And it'll be a beautiful thing. It'll be so great. You'll have peace. You'll have self-confidence. You know, it'll all just fall into place.
And I've said this probably several times in any of these, when I'm talking, because let's face it, I'm always talking, that I've said this, why I'm a realist. And I don't know, a lot of people maybe not know why I'm a realist, because when my daughter was diagnosed, 99.9% of my family didn't believe it. And I shouldered all the grief by myself. I cried by myself. And they lived in a fantasy world and said that I didn't feed her enough. And so it made me very angry. And I refused to live in a fantasy world because of that. If they were realists, they would have been by my side. They would have helped me through this. And I wouldn't even have had a first divorce. So I am totally, and I'm not ashamed to admit it, I am a realist. I don't live in a fantasy world. The only fantasy I ever do is, like I said, I'll watch a Christmas movie.
And see, that's dreaming. You're watching something that always has a happy ending. Always something good comes out of it. And sometimes, and we need a balance. You know, life is about balance, you know, having a balance. And it's okay to watch all that, but don't let it overtake you to the point where that's where you live. And you think that the real world is like that, because it's not. No. It's not like that.
But what a beautiful, think about it. I feel blessed every day that God gives me. I am 84 years old. I work 5 days a week, actually, I'll take it back, 24/7. Sometimes I take a little of Thursday off. I'm very blessed. And I'm not pain-free, by the way. So I'm blessed. I mean,
and you don't see, Josie, here's the thing. You don't talk about that a lot, but people that come into your auctions and have for a long time know that about you. And the way you carry yourself on your auctions and everything, you very rarely ever mention that. But I know through having the same symptoms you have, how much pain you do live in. So, but here's the thing. We don't have to know each other's pain. We just have to love each other. That's all we have to do. And understand that we're all human. We all make mistakes. We all are not perfect. Not gonna be. If you think you are, then you are living in a fantasy. Because you're not. As long as you're here in this reality, you're not gonna be perfect. So I'm not saying don't try to reach higher goals. I'm just saying when somebody tries to make you feel guilty because you're not where they think you should be, but you where you think you should be, don't worry about it.
And I'm going to throw something in that's probably not related to this subject, but what I have witnessed in this crazy social media. If you think somebody has said something that you don't like and you feel offended, go to them and ask them. Don't build this up in your mind and get mad.
That's a good point.
Go and talk to them, because, you know, and even different parts of our country, there are sayings in remarks in, say, Midwest or Eastern, that maybe out in the West here, we all have different slangs, different remarks that we make. We joke different. So don't get offended. Just go say, hey, how did you mean that?
Yeah, what did you mean by that?
Yeah. I hate the word offended. I think it should be destroyed from the dictionary. Don't wear your feelings on your sleeves. Talk about it. Ask. And
don't just assume it, because this right here, like Josie was pointing to, it will turn it into a huge ordeal when it probably wasn't anything but a little small something.
Yeah, because we all, in fact, I always joke, if I don't give you a bad time and tease you, I don't like you. I love teasing the people I love. I do talk a lot, and believe it or not, I used to be quiet and timid. And
I know every time you say that, I'm thinking that is hard for me to believe.
I could go days without talking to anyone. Believe it or not. And I've had people say, oh, I don't believe it. And I said, yeah.
You really took that scripture where it says, be still and know that I am God. You really took that to heart, didn't you?
Oh, I did. I'll use for an example. One of my co-workers at the hospital said one time, Chelsea, you're always talking. And how come you talk so much? And I said, okay, you think I talk too much? I'll show you. I said, I could stop talking other than professionally to the doctors and to my patients. I could stop talking for 3 weeks. They begged me to talk. They absolutely begged me. The only time I talked is when I had to call the doctors, get doctor's orders. I talked to my patients. My patients didn't even know this was going on. But at the nurse's station, I didn't talk to anyone.
Oh, Josie, you taught them a good lesson.
And they actually literally.
Hey, Dee.
Hi, Dee. Good to see you.
Sandy said, I am blessed every day. I look forward to my forever home with the one who taught me how to love just like Jesus. I'm still learning. That is a very good comment. Yes.
And I can tell you, I consider Sandy one of my dear friends, and she's got a heart of gold. She's got, if we could all be like Sandy. Oh, and I didn't embarrass you again. I already embarrassed Angie, so now I can embarrass you, Sandy.
Look, and I don't know if Josie feels this way, but I always use this for an example. If you work somewhere and somebody has to say, I'm the boss, that's why. Well, first of all, that person's not the boss if they have to tell you they're the boss. Mm-hmm. Well, if you're a Christian and you have a spiritual relationship with the Lord, you don't have to announce it. Yep. People are going to know it just by the way you live your life. Just like Josie knows that Sandy is, and that Sandy has meant something to her in her life, and they've never even met in person, but she knows that Sandy loves the Lord just by the communication that they've had, just like Sandy putting it in the comment. You don't have to demand respect on something that you automatically just live.
And you know, open your heart. It's like, I love Dee. Dee, you're fantastic. But when you open your heart and really get to know someone, you don't just live, like I said, in this fantasy world. You live in the real world. You get to know that person, and you find the good in people instead of the negative.
Yeah, that's a good point, because when you really get to know someone that you really care about, you are fixated on, you know, they have faults. You know that you've seen them before, but you're fixated on their talents, how much they care about people, what they say, positive things. And you're easily, when they do get in that mood, to say, hey, now, come on. I know how you feel. I'm there with you, you know, and you're encouraging them. But to love someone, you've got to be there for them in reality. You cannot be in fantasy.
Yeah. And I think, like I said, the one thing social media has done, which is not good, it's made everyone think they're judge and jury. You know, oh, this person shouldn't be doing this, that person, and we're missing out on, you know, on the good in people. And I've got to read this here. When we think about life, we all dream, and that is a beautiful thing. Dreams give us hope, vision, and purpose. But there's a fine line between dreaming and living in a fantasy. The real world might be hard sometimes, filled with challenges, heartbreak, and lessons. But also, where growth happens is where we find true strength and real connections.
Yes. And I want to add this to that, Josie. If you're easily offended, which I'm not, it takes a lot to offend me, but if you are, when somebody does something to you and you feel offended, start saying to yourself, why would they say something like that? I know I'm not like that. So is it them that has the problem? Do they have the problem? Because I know that I'm not like that. And you search your heart, and then you'll start realizing that you're not getting easily offended. With each time that somebody does something to you and it bothers you, you take a good look at yourself and you go, wait a minute, it's not me. You know, they got something in their life that they haven't taken care of, or they wouldn't have said that to me, because I'm good with me, you know, and talk yourself through it. And once you talk yourself through it, you begin to change your perception, because your perception is your reality. So if you can just change your perception a little bit, then you begin to live more authentically, and you realize, hey, nobody's going to blame me for everything that happens, because you'll find these people, if they think they can get over on you when something goes wrong, they'll start blaming you for everything that happens, even though it wasn't your fault. And you're like, wait a minute, you need to chill, because, you know, I'm not accepting that. Yeah. So once you start doing that, you get stronger, and you get believing in yourself, and you get to the point where you say, I'm not going to take that anymore. I'm not going to listen to it. You know, whether you have been friends for 20 years or 20 months, you know, you need to check it and say, look, we're not doing this anymore. Hey, Dragonfly Bees.
Dragonfly, welcome. Well, you know, I always admired the doctor my daughter had, and I've always I shied away from it for a while, but then I got back into it. But how I lived when she was still alive and how I dealt with it, he said, live each day like it's her last. and you'll never have any regrets. And that's how I live my life. And it makes you, maybe that scares some people, but it makes you enjoy no matter what your day brings. It makes you realize you're still blessed because you're alive.
And Josie, I admire that you actually did that, because in reality, we're not in control of anything except who we are. We cannot control the weather. We cannot control other people. I don't want to do that. But you'll find people in your real life and on YouTube that try to control someone else in the way they feel and the way they act and what they say. Number one, I don't want to control anybody. It's too much responsibility, and I don't want to do that. It's hard enough for me to keep me corrected. Let's them. I've done raised both of my children. I got them to where the Lord wants me to, and I let them go as far as being able to think for themselves. And I don't want to take on anybody else. That's why I always say, unless you ask me, and feel free to ask, but I'm not just going to run around trying to find somebody to take care of,
Yeah. Have you seen on social media, have you been around anyone who said, well, you shouldn't go over there. You shouldn't go on that channel. Run away from that. No one should tell you where to go, what to do. They can make a suggestion in a kind way, but there's people who sometimes will do that and don't even know the truth.
I've had people that try to do me like that. And I'm saying to myself, do you think that I'm not smart enough to make a decision on where I want to go? I mean, I'm smart enough to I may not always say it, but I see it. I see more than I say that I see.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it is just not even worth talking about. But if you want to go to someone else, if you have a friend and they're telling you, oh, don't go to that person's channel, don't, they did this, this, and this, you need to check that and say, wait a minute now, hold up. We're not perfect either. So if you want to go over there, but, I'm just telling you, once you do, be careful, but you're free. People have got to let you be free. If they don't, that means they're trying to control you, bind you up, and that's never good. Never.
And drama is the worst thing for in your life. Stress. Actually, years ago, they did a lot of testing on cancer, and stress is one of the biggest cancer components. If you're stressed all the time, it's going to affect your heart. It's going to affect your whole body. And I know this is a little off the subject, but in the reality, in the real world, you can look at this stuff and analyze it. In the fantasy world, you're saying, oh, it doesn't matter. It does,
we're just going to live for the moment. Whatever happens, happens. And that's where a lot of people get in trouble as far as spending, as far as the relationships they have. They don't make grounded relationships. It's just fly by the moment relationship. You have this friend that talks about everybody. You can I can guarantee you that they're talking about you when they're with that person. Okay? That's the way it goes. If you have somebody that's always talking about so-and-so did this, so-and-so did that, when they get with that other person, they're talking about you. Yep. I mean, you can believe that or not, but I've lived long enough that I know that's for a fact.
That is true.
So be careful what you say to people and make sure it's something that you don't want revealed, because a lot of times when people stop speaking, that person starts revealing everything you ever told them and just sharing all this secret stuff that you told them. You don't want that to happen.
And before we kind of get to the end of this, I would say we should put out to the audience, is there any questions?
What do y'all think about tonight's topic?
Do you have any comments or questions?
Oh, I would love to hear from the chat. Yeah.
Yeah, I would too. Um, and like I said, we're not condemning anyone. We learn right along with you. We all have our struggles, I'll tell you.
Oh, if you knew the things that I have done and experienced in my life to get to the point where I am today, you would have said, Angie, how are you sitting up there talking like you are talking? Because I have made some, oh my gosh, off the wall decisions. And I look back now and go, where was my head? What was I thinking?
Well, I'm 84, and I can honestly say it's only been a year since I've actually totally forgiven everyone in my life. Took a heck of a long time to get here where
But
I'm
here's
at.
the thing, you got there. That is the accomplishment.
Took
You
me a
got there.
long time.
There is Mary. She said, what happened?
What happened? What do you mean? This is just Mary. It wasn't anything happened. The topic was, do you live in a real world or a fantasy world? We do these shows once a month. We rotate channels. Next month, it'll be on Angie's. So we don't do these shows to talk about drama. Oh, hang on. You talk.
Yeah. Here. But no, we don't do these once a month shows to bring in drama. We bring it to where you can deal with drama or anything that comes into your life, because the name of it, the calm before the storm, that means we try to learn together to handle things before they come to us. Prepare. We're preparing ourselves to be able to handle the next hump or the next lesson that we're going to have to learn. Because we will have to learn another lesson. That's what life is about. If you don't feel pain, you don't learn. We learn through pain. We learn through mistakes. We learn through difficulty. That's how we're supposed to learn our life lessons.
Thank you. Bye.
And
I'm back.
Josie had a post office pickup that she had to
and my regular mail carrier he comes like by 11 o'clock in the morning, but he took the week off. So these poor subs have 2 routes. Their regular route. Yeah. Anyway, where are we?
I was just telling them that we go through trials and lessons in life to grow and learn. We learn through pain. I know that sounds awful, but that's the way we learn and grow. And that's reality. Now, in fantasy, we don't want to feel pain. We don't want anybody to pass away. We want everything to be perfect. Yeah. But then, you know what? Something happens and reality hits us if we stay in fantasy too long.
Yeah. And when we stay in fantasy and we avoid reality, sometimes we don't realize, it's like what happened in my life. I'm sure my family didn't realize that they were hurting me because they weren't there for me. They just had themselves believe that, they knew my daughter had muscular dystrophy, but, she wasn't going to die. And the doctor flatly told me.
Well, they probably thought they could will her not to. They could love her enough. They could do things for her. They could, you know what I'm saying?
And the sad part, a lot of the family didn't even live close by, so they couldn't.
Hey, Michael and Mark. Hey, how are you?
Hi, Mark and Michael.
Welcome in.
So
my 2 favorite old guys.
I'm sure we're not saying that fantasy is totally wrong. We're just saying you kind of have to level it out, get
everything has to have a balance. Yes.
You have to have a balance. Otherwise, sometimes you end up being unhappy, or you struggle all your life.
And if you stay in fantasy world too long, it just, when you do how you're hit with reality, sometimes you can't handle it, and you are never the same, and you can never get straight again. But if you live a balance like reality and a fantasy world, then when reality does hit, and it will, If you live long enough, it's going to hit.
It will.
You'll be able to deal with it better. Now, is it going to be difficult? Yes. Any traumatic thing that happens to us is difficult.
Yeah.
But if you surround yourself with people that live in reality and have a balance, they will help you through it with the help of the Lord. Everything will work out. Will it be painful? Yes, it will. But when you come out on the other side, you will be better, stronger, more empathetic, more caring, more, non-judgmental. And it won't matter how many degrees you have or how many wonderful things you've done. It will matter because you have made it to the other side of going through the pain that you've had to deal with.
And remember, money doesn't bring happiness.
No.
It might give you a little better health care. It might bring you a newer house.
Hey, Ellen.
That most wealthy people, you can look around at some of the entertainers or wealthy people. They buy a toy and then it makes them happy for a short time, and then they go buy something else. So, and you're not going to take it with you, by the way.
And peace and love and all that comes within. It does not, it's not based on what goes on outside your life. No. It's based on what's inside you. Yep. It's that peace and joy and happiness and comfort and integrity. A lot of people do not have integrity, and that just blows me away.
No.
But
and it all boils down is the word I love the most: communication. You have to communicate. If you think someone said something to you you don't like, go ask them.
And I would say this: when that happens and someone does something to you or you feel like they have, don't react instantly. Don't react instantly. You step back a minute, and I had to learn this the hard way because I used to react like that. Somebody did something to me, and I'd call them out in front of 20 million people. It didn't matter. But you step back a moment, and then you think about it. And most of the time I pray about it. And then you do what you need to do to set the record straight. And I don't see anything wrong with doing that. When someone does something to you that you know is wrong, I feel like you should have the equal opportunity to come back with what you want to. But after that, it should be over. But a lot of times it's not for some people. And that's where drama comes in. So that's why I say step back and really know what you want to say and get it all out, because you get that one chance, or should have that one chance. And once it's over, just wipe your hands of it. Just say, I'm done with it.
Yeah. And all this, and I'll use my life for an example. It took me a long time, and I say this a lot, to get where I'm at. But the things that used to make me mad or upset even a year ago, I could care less. They don't even bother me anymore. You can say what you want to say about me. I know who I am, and God knows who I am. And that's the most important thing.
Yeah, when you reach that point, Josie, you have so much peace in your life that you cannot even explain it to people, because they look at you like you have two heads.
Yeah.
Because something that would make somebody else angry, they'll say, oh, so-and-so said this about you. And I, most of the time, just laugh. I'm like, really? They don't know me.
They don't know me. Yeah. So anyway, I actually wrote out a closing message. And is it okay?
Yes.
Can I read? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you all for joining me tonight, or joining us tonight. We all want a beautiful life, but real beauty comes from truth, from facing the real world with courage, love, and faith. The Lord doesn't call us to hide from reality. He calls us to walk through it with him by our side. Let's live in the truth, not the fantasy. Let's be honest with ourselves, kind to others, and grateful for the life God has given us, even if it's not perfect.
Amen, amen, and amen.
And I hope you guys got something
Y'all have
from.
been wonderful tonight. We
Yeah.
always enjoy the chat to put in their 2 cents. There's no wrong or right about what you put in the chat, unless we don't want to direct it to anybody personally or any drama.
Yeah.
But we know that's not going to happen here. So we're all learning together. We always look forward to this every month, to just bring this to you all and facilitate us just sharing and growing. That's what it's all about.
And if you have any suggestions on titles, we're always open to suggestions.
I love to study and look up things and learn. And
I do too.
And so if you have any suggestions, just email Josie. There's her email there, and mine's not up here, but it's on my page, my YouTube channel page.
And next month it will be on.
It will be on my channel next month,
and,
December Let me look that up, Josie. December.
You look it up.
I hadn't even. It's the second Thursday of each month, which will be the 11th.
Yes.
December the 11th.
Oh wow, that's
what you got going on, Josie. We can change it.
No, that's perfect. That's the day my daughter passed away.
If that's a problem now, we can change it.
No. My faith in the Lord is so strong. And I'll say this before I be quiet. I watched my daughter, and the things that she said, and I say it in the videos that I do twice a year, the things that she said before she died is what gave me the strength that I have today and the faith that I have today. And that little girl at 9.5 had more maturity than some 20, 30-year-olds have. And so, and I know with her muscular dystrophy, she could have suffered a lot more than she did, and the Lord took her home. So no, it's a day that I'm fine with that.
And I look at it, everything happens, timing is everything. And that may, of course, I have to believe, meant to be. And something great will happen.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But anyway, we've enjoyed y'all. Yep. And please share this out to people and let them watch the replay. Come back and join us next month. It'll be on my channel, December the 11th. And I know that's close to Christmas, so that probably is even better. You know, miracles happen around that time. But if Josie, if you want to close it out, that'll be good.
Now, I pray that you guys your days are filled with blessings from the Lord. And remember, communication, have faith, have a little reality and a little fantasy, combine them. And one day you will wake up and you'll think, wow, you know what? My life is beautiful. God bless you guys.
Be authentic.
Yep. God bless you. We love you. Bye, everyone.